Hi guys, and welcome back to another Tech Minds video. So here we have a brand new HA1UV, a dual band handheld radio from those over Ailunce, or however you pronounce it. Now it covers from 144 to 146 MHz and 430 to 440 MHz. Now obviously that's for the EU or UK version. I'm not sure whether the American version will go up to 148. You'll have to check that when this radio is released. But it can provide up to 5 watts or less on both bands. Now that's something that we'll test later in the video. Now Retevis did send this to me to check out, and this time I was not told what to say, and I did not have to send the video for approval before releasing, so everything you hear in this video will be of my own opinion. Now as usual, a user's manual is included, which actually covers a few different languages, hence why it appears to be so thick. And we do seem to get a USB programming cable in the box, and it also appears to have a Motorola style plug for the radio end. We also get a desktop charger, which can actually be powered from a standard 5V USB adapter, something like a mobile phone charger or maybe even your computer. A wrist strap and belt clip is also included in the box, along with a USB to USB-C cable. Now there's no wall mains adapter, but like I said, you can use any type of 5V USB adapter. And most people have these lying around anyway, and if you don't, they're cheap enough to get from Amazon or eBay. Now, first time holding this, I really do get a feel that this is a solid and well-built radio. It feels quite snug in the hand, and it has a nice bit of weight to it. Now, it's nothing over the top though, which is great. The antenna that comes with the radio is solid, not one of those wibbly-wobbly ones, but as you can see, this is removable, so if wibbly-wobbly is your thing, then you do have the option to change the antenna. And that's because the antenna connection is the standard SMA. I guess you could also connect this up to your home base antenna using adapters, if that's your thing as well. Now, the battery comes off quite easy with a spring-loaded clip at the bottom. Now it appears that the battery has a 2800 mAh capacity, and that's outputting 7.4 volts. Now what I like about Retevis is that these two parts have either a serial number or model number sticker on them, not just some random generic case or chassis like we've seen on a lot of other cheaper radios coming out of Asia. Now on the back of the battery towards the bottom, you can see the connection for charging when inserted into the supplied desktop charger. Now you also see a USB-C socket, meaning you can also charge this battery independently from the desktop charger. Now on the front we have the keypad and the display. Now I would suggest to take some time learning what each of the buttons can do. Some of them, if you hold them instead of just tapping, will activate another feature. Now I'll show you what I mean by that in a moment. Now just above the screen there's the main audio output speaker, and then towards the top to the right of the sticker there's a little hole which is actually the microphone. Now down the left side we have a rather large PTT button which has a nice clicky response when pressed, and then below this there's two user programmable function buttons. Now by default these will either bring up the FM broadcast receiver, and the other button will open the squelch. Now on the top there's two rotary controls. One is the channel change or frequency change when in VFO mode, and the other one is an on-off stroke volume control. Now notice how the antenna connection is actually SMA, not those weird reversed ones that we see a lot on other cheap radios, which makes it nice and easy to integrate with other cables or antennas or adapters. A status LED which illuminates green when receiving and red when transmitting is also located on the top here, along with a single orange button which can be used to activate any emergency feature that may have been configured. Now down the right side, behind this little flap which is secured by a little screw, is where we can attach the included programming cable. Now this can also be used with a speaker mic, something a bit like this. Now I'll test this out as well later in the video. Now turning on the radio, you're presented with two VFOs. Either of these can be set to VFO frequency mode or memory mode. And the menu system is pretty easy to navigate, just using the up and down arrow buttons. Now each section is clearly labelled, making it easy to read. If you do not want to have two VFOs showing on the main screen, then you can actually turn one of those off so that the screen only shows one frequency and one memory channel. If you are using the radio on just one frequency, then I guess this would make sense to turn the other one off. The common feature that we see a lot of these days is the inclusion of an FM broadcast receiver built in. and this radio is no different, although this needs to be enabled within the menu unless you have a side key programmed to turn it on and off. Direct dialing of frequency is possible using that front-facing keypad, and this is useful if you do not have a particular frequency stored in memory that you need to use. Now, when it comes to radio settings, I personally prefer to use programming software to set up the radio. Not only is this quicker, but it also means I can save the settings on my computer and either reload them to another radio of the same model or restore my settings if I needed to. Now, the software is available free of charge from the Retevis website. One of the first things I'd recommend you do though is to check the radio's current firmware version and then look on the Retevis website to see if there's any updates. Now, as this is a brand new radio, it is quite possible that there will be a firmware update released by the time you receive your radio. Now, performing the update is super simple. You simply open the programming software and select Firmware Update from the top menu. When you plug the radio into the computer via a programming cable, a virtual COM port will be created, and you just need to select this COM port within the Firmware Update window. You will also need to choose the model of the radio. In this case, it's the HA1UV, as this software does seem to support a load of different radios. Then you'll need to select the firmware.bin file that you downloaded from the Retevis website. Once selected, power on the radio will hold in P1 and the PTT button. The LED on the radio should turn red, and it should now be in firmware download mode. Upon pressing the download button on the actual firmware updated window, a percentage bar graph will appear, and it's at this point the new firmware is now writing to the radio. Once the firmware update process is complete, the radio will most likely reboot. So to start programming the radio, you can press the CON device button to reselect the COM port and the model number. Now, once connected, the software will automatically read all of the radio settings and current memory channels. You can now edit them as required. As mentioned earlier, I find it easier and quicker to configure my radios using software, and that's because most of the features and functions can be seen on one screen at the same time. And the memories can be found under the channel list page, and if you're familiar with Excel or spreadsheets, it pretty much looks like a massive spreadsheet. Now, here you can program the memory's name, transmit power, receive and transmit frequencies, squelch level, and any CTCSS or DCS sub-audible tones. Now, these are normally used for repeaters or simplex node access. Now, at the time of making this video, there didn't appear to be any chirp support, but we never know, we might see that in the future, which will be great because of the repeater book integration. Once you've changed the settings or added any memory channels that you need, you can select Operation and then Send, which will send everything back to the radio. Now, back on the radio, we can tap the Scan button to switch between the upper and lower VFOs, and then if you press and hold the Exit button, the selected VFO will toggle between frequency and memory channel mode. Now, here you can see how the memory channel names are shown on the screen when in memory mode. Using the top rotary control, you can now browse through all of your memory channels. So this radio has 3 RF output power levels, and on VHF at 145 MHz on low power, we see an output of around 600 milliwatts. At middle power, we see an output close to 2.5 watts, and then on high power, my meter is reading around 3.5 watts. Up on UHF at 435 MHz and on low power, we see an output of around 300 milliwatts, and then on middle power setting, we see an output of around 3 watts. Up on high power, we see an output of around 4.5 watts. Now, I do guess you have to take into account the tolerances on this cheap power meter and any losses that may be present using these cables and connectors. So let's now take a quick listen to see how the transmitted audio sounds from the internal microphone, and then afterwards we'll test what the speaker mic sounds like.
This is M0DQW, Mike 0 Delta Quebec Whiskey, testing the audio using the inbuilt microphone on the HA1UV. This is M0DQW testing over. This is Mike 0 Delta Quebec Whiskey and 0DQW. Testing the HA1UV. This is the speaker microphone. This is testing audio with a speaker microphone. M0DQW, over.
Now, the actual speaker on the radio itself sounds very good. Take a listen to this.
Appreciate everybody that was in OT town over the ham test. Hope everybody had a great time.
Alrighty, thank you, Kevin. Appreciate you joining us. Let's go to VA3 KTJ Jinsuk up in LaSalle, Ontario, Canada. Good morning.
Now let's try another receiving test, but this time we're going to be using the speaker on the speaker mic to see how it sounds.
We'll come back to Roy in a minute. Maybe his neighbor knocked on the door. KAUFM, Randall in Brownstown Township, Michigan. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. I was teaching skiing yesterday, and I got home, and I had to do laundry too, and I had something to eat, and I was out like a light bulb.
Now, another popular test is to check for spurious emissions. So, with the radio set to VHF band at 145 MHz and the output power set to low power, this is the result. Also, for those interested, I have a 30 dB attenuator in line between the radio and the Tiny SA Ultra. Now, if we perform the same test on UHF at around 435 MHz, also with low power set and a 30 dB attenuator in line, this is the result. Now, when I perform these tests with the Tiny SA, it always seems to stir up some controversy for some reason. However, I show these results because personally what I like to see is the level difference between the fundamental, which is peak labelled as 1, and the rest of the peaks shown. In my personal opinion, having more than 50 dBm difference between at least the 1 and 2 tells me quickly if this radio is any good or not. And for this radio, I think it's good. Now, if anyone has tested this radio's spurious emissions on a lab-grade spectrum analyzer, then please let us know the results down in the comments below. I'll also leave some links in the video description of where you can find out more about this radio or even purchase it. Now, I believe Retevis also handed me some discount codes, so I'll include those down below where appropriate. Anyway, guys, massive thank you to my patrons and YouTube members, and obviously everybody that watches my videos. Thanks again, it really means a lot. So until the next video, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video.